a lot of good teams in general in the AFC, and we will see what happens. One of those teams not so good right now is the Kansas City Chiefs, as I just mentioned, 3-4 on the year, and they head in to take on the New York Giants. This is, man, you're a Giants fan. I'm thrilled about this game. This is not even just for radio here. This is an exciting game because the Chiefs are not good right now. They're really not. I mean, in terms of Super Bowl champion good, they're barely mediocre good. And I think to face a Giants team now who there's only one game separating the two, and I got to be honest, the Giants are coming off a great win. The Chiefs are coming off not so pretty of a loss. This is an interesting game. I wonder where you're sitting on this one right now.
Well, you said mediocre. First, let's just talk about the teams that have the same record as the Chiefs.
Oh, here we go. I'm excited about this.
The Denver Broncos.
Okay.
The New England Patriots.
Okay.
The Indianapolis Colts, Chicago Bears, Carolina Panthers, who the Giants just beat in a great game, right? Those are the teams with the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs. You look at those teams, you go, which team is not like the others? It should be the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the team that, coming off a trip to the Super Bowl, should be very good. Their offense is supposed to be a world beater. Their defense, but their defense is supposed to be competitive. It's not. But yeah, the Chiefs have had a really tough year, and you look at the teams they've lost to: Baltimore, Buffalo, Los Angeles Chargers, Tennessee Titans. Good teams, but teams that the Chiefs should be able to beat because they're supposed to be the best team, or at least one of the best teams in the AFC. They probably believe that they're the best team in the AFC going into this season. And they've lost to the other teams that are trying to vie for that spot. So Kansas City's low, man. They're coming off 27-3 loss to the Titans. Listen, you can lose to the Titans. They only put up 3 against the Titans. Their defense isn't great. And to just really have a bad day against the Titans team that, to put it nicely, I still think is one-dimensional. Derrick Henry's awesome, but their passing offense, Tannehill hasn't been good. They're not getting the ball to Brown or Julio Jones. So to lose that bad to the Titans and for the Giants to come off with the momentum they have against a solid win against the Panthers, turned it up in the second half. I know I said it in the intro. Maybe that was bad form by me. I think that the Giants should be able to win this game.
So here's the thing about the Chiefs, too. You mentioned the defense, and I think that's ultimately where the problem lies because their offense last season averaged just under 415 yards per game, best in the NFL. This year, 419 yards, third in the NFL. There's been no real dip there. I mean, the point production hasn't been there, but there's been no real dip. You look at a week like last week, Patrick Mahomes, QBR, you know what his QBR was? 6.1, the lowest of his career. It was abysmal. And he has at least one turnover in each of his last 6 games, multiple turnovers each of his past 3. So the issue here is when the offense fades away, when Mahomes fades away, they've got nothing because that defense has really not been good enough this year. They've allowed over 200 points on the year. So meet the New York Giants. And I think this is really where things get so fascinating because the Giants, they're knocked out. They're banged up right now. Let's be honest with that. They are missing a lot of key pieces. Saquon Barkley, he's not even practicing yet. They're also missing Kenny Golladay still. They're starting to see progress from Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney as limited participants in practice, but this is not the full-strength Giants. Even then, they went out and defeated the Panthers pretty handily, like you mentioned. And I have to agree with you. It's going to sound nuts. I think the Giants have a very good chance to win this football game because, look, I mean, they've been convincing. They've been competitive in a good amount of games this year. They're facing a Chiefs team who they might be reared up. They might be at home. I still think the Giants have a good shot here to put up a competitive battle for no real reason other than I just think it could happen. I mean, they're coming off a good win. I think they're facing a team that really they don't want to place a team with a lot of energy right now because the Chiefs don't have that. And I think the Giants, they might bring that to the table when they go on the road.
The one thing that scares me with this Giants team is the last couple of years, no matter what, their games are always kind of competitive, barring like last week when they win big, but like they never take advantage of like poor defenses.
That's true.
Atlanta game this year, they put up like 14 points, maybe. I forget what the exact score of that game was, but they never put up points against the defenses I feel like they should take advantage of, but their defense is usually pretty good at stepping up against offenses that are pretty good. And I look at the way their defense played last week against the Panthers, especially a guy like Azeez Ojulari, rookie came out, got the stats right in front of me, 2.5 sacks, 4 QB hits, 8 total pressures. And the front four, which has kind of been the one problem, I think, in the Giants' defense, even when they took the big step last year. Their secondary was great last year, even their linebacker crew was great. I looked for that front four besides Leonard Williams last year to step up, and now Leonard Williams starting to get more consistent at getting to the quarterback. Mahomes does not deal with pressure that well. I think one of the reasons that the Bucs were able to win that Super Bowl last year was that they got to Mahomes every single time. The Chiefs' O-line is not as strong as it's been in past years, so I think you see that D-line continue to get pressure. The key for me is the defense, really, because at the end of the day, the Chiefs still have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Try and stop one of them, because I think one of them's probably going to have a decent day, but try and limit one of them.
I agree that it's about the defense because the Giants' defense, you mentioned, top 10 in the league last season. They were bottom 10 through the first 6 games of the season. That changed against Carolina in a lot of ways. They held the Panthers 2.79 yards per play. That's the lowest mark they've had since 2010. Third lowest in the NFL this season. Is that going to be an anomaly or is that going to be the norm is the question. The Chiefs, a tough team to do it against. But they've also, the Giants, forced a lot of turnovers. As you mentioned, if you can get the pressure on Patrick Mahomes, who has been turning the ball over lately, that could be a really bad recipe for the Chiefs. And I don't want to make it sound like we're very confident in the Giants here. That's not at all what we're saying here. But what we are saying is this is a Giants team that can be competitive. They've been competitive for a lot of this year. I think Joe Judge laid down the law. He knew that the team wasn't good enough, quite frankly. They put away a lot of that last week against Carolina. Question if you can keep it going against the Chiefs. If I had to put my money on it right now, I'm taking the New York Giants. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think the reason I'm so excited about this is because I looked at some of these games on the schedule and I went, oh boy, Rams, Chiefs, Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is not a scary game.
These are losses probably. All of a sudden to be in the spot looking at this game and going, it wouldn't be crazy if the Giants pulled off a win is kind of why I'm so excited. So absolutely, I believe that they could come here and win this game.
Another interesting note, too, they lead the all-time series quite a bit against the Chiefs, 11-3 all-time against them. They haven't played since 2017. Ben McAdoo, the head coach, said the Giants won 12-9, so a very different Chiefs team. But look, the Giants have had their number for a good amount of time here, and I think the question is, we talked about what the Jets have to play for. It's an interesting question what the Giants have to play for, because without a doubt, the Dallas Cowboys have been the best team in the division, 5-1, winning 5 straight games. It's a mosh pile after that. You have Washington 2-5, Philly 2-5, the Giants 2-5. I'm very confident in saying the Giants are the best team of those 3. I don't think they can compete with the Cowboys, who I've never been high on, but 5-1's a big gap to overcome, and the Cowboys have looked very, very good this year with Dak Prescott back and ready to go.
Yeah, I think you can kind of kiss goodbye any hopes of winning the division. This is not going to be the NFC least like it was last year. Dallas is a very good team. It pains me to say it, but Dallas is very good. Their offense, it's fantastic. They're playing well, but the one thing that interests me, and it is still kind of a long shot, but the NFC is kind of top heavy. You have a lot of strong division winners. You have the Cowboys at 5-1, Cardinals at 7-1, Packers at 7-1, Bucks at 6-1. Then the only strong wild card team is the Rams at 6-1. Then the second best team is the Saints at 4-2. Giants beat the Saints.
Yeah,
so
I'm not buying the Saints.
If you can just continue to win games, I don't think it's completely unrealistic to say that you maybe hang around that wild card pack, especially I think 3 wild card teams make it now with the new structure in the NFL. So maybe you slide into one of those bottom NFL wild card spots. So I don't think it's really unrealistic, but it's still something you should play for.
You're right about top heavy though.
The NFC is very, very top heavy in the sense that the division winners might already have it locked down, and now we're going to see teams playing for wild card spots in every division besides the NFC West. So I think no matter what, the Giants should continue to play competitive games because, again, a prove-it year for Daniel Jones. I think he's shown that he can be the franchise QB. I've loved what I've seen from him so far. So just continue to win games and see what happens, I think, is the best mode for the Giants because this isn't a Giants team that should just be not focused on winning games you want to see good play. No, this is let's try and win some games and see what we can do.
It's different than the Jets. I think the Jets were not concerned about wins and losses. I think the Giants you do need to start seeing wins because last season they were a 7-9 team, whatever it was, 6-10. Now this season they're a better football team this year. Daniel Jones has been a better player this year. You need better results, and I think there's no question about that. And look, let's be honest. Those first few games of the season, there was a few points deciding a win and loss there. That goes differently. They could have a 500 record right now, without a doubt. If one field goal goes this way, one field goal goes that way. Very different situation, I think, we'd have for the Giants. And you bring up an interesting point when it comes to the playoff picture here because Packers locked up the North. South, Saints don't have a chance. Bucks locked up the South. Cardinals, Rams, that's a dogfight out in the West. Beyond that, it's a lot of mediocre football teams. So I think you have an interesting point there. If the Giants do what they did last year, turn it on late, who knows what we're looking at here. Should be a lot of fun. My final line, though, Giants over the Chiefs this week. I'm not going to give a score. That's a little too difficult for me. But look, even in this dilapidated state the Giants are in, if we think they have a shot against the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know if that says more about the Giants or says more about the Chiefs.